Hello everyone. Today is a great day to show you my grapevine. Excuse the noise in the background. The landscape was out here today, working on a development. But I want to show you my red flaming seedless grape. I want to talk about at least like four things when growing grapes: structure, variety, feeding, and soil slash water. That's like five. Anyway, uh, this here is a red flaming seedless grape grown in a container. You can grow a container or the ground, doesn't really matter. Uh, but this variety is growing in a grow bag. Structure is key when you're growing grapes because the foliage become actually vigorous. When they first wake up, as you can see, this little knob here, right in here, they will start to leaf out. And once they do that, you want to go ahead and feed it. I fed mine about 3 times with a organic fruit fertilizer. I did not use a synthetic fertilizer. I used a fruit fertilizer this year. And you don't have to actually use that if you don't want to. You can use earthworm castings or even compost. You can use some bad compost, even the fresh compost, whatever you want to do. Uh, for me, that's what I use. But structure is key, and you want to make sure when you growing, you want at least a wooden or a wire, which they use in the grape orchards slash farms. You can use an arbor or a pergola, or even a fence that I saw growing up in the East Coast. My grandmother's neighbor was growing wild grapes on a fence. So depending on uh, what you have, you can use those type of structures. Now, when growing grapes, it is said that when they mature, they become their root structure become very very strong and vigorous. So many people say that growing containers will actually do damage to those grapes at a later date because of its roots. Because it will take over, it will bust through the ceramic container. Most growers grow in ceramic containers when they grow grapes. Sometimes it's above 5 gallons, so it all depends on that size you're growing. The larger your container when growing in a container, the more vigorous those roots will get and more space they will have. On For me, mine is growing in a grow bag, which helps air prune the root structure, so its mine may not be that uh, bad when growing grapes in containers. I want to go ahead and tell you this, that most people don't know that grapes also need a lot of sun, and what helps with with the sun actually help the sugars and the acidity of the grape clusters to become uh, sweet and juicy. The more sun it gets, the better. And what you want to do to get your grapes healthy, you want to make sure you use a lot of compost, um, earthworm castings, which is like a manure, or you can use stem manure, fresh stem manure, or even chicken manure. And this helps to feed your grapes. Grapes are very greedy, like how we like to eat, they like to eat. And the more you feed it, the better your results will be. Um, but I want to say this again: location is key. Reason why location is key is because if it doesn't get that right type amount of sun, you will have to wait even longer for your grapes to develop. Uh, and the angle of that grape vine, it actually matters, because if it's hitting the foliage for a long period of time, when we get those triple digits, sometimes you'll see damage with the leaves. Be careful, even with the insects, they like to nibble on the soft leaves as well. So sometimes you have to use a insecticide. Not many people do that when they grow grapes, but sometimes you do. Um, Most important, watering. When you water your grapes, you got to be careful as well, because Grapes don't like a lot of soggy soil. They like a nice, well balanced watering, and they have to be dry out for them to produce very well. If you want to be more cautious, you can actually use leaves, uh, leaf mold. You can use pine bark. You can use wood chips or even grass clippings to help you with uh, your moisture and the layering of helping your grapes to stay moist at a uh, certain level. You can use a water meter for that if you're very concerned about it. Another thing with the soil is that in my studies in college, when I was studying table service, actually wine, we had to understand the soil as well, the temperatures of the soil, all that other stuff. And what I learned, when looking back at my notes, I literally like was mind blown at what I saw. Is that grapes can also grow in acidic soil, but the thing is, from a 4.5 pH to a 7 pH, they will produce. Now you have to be careful even with the 4.5 pH because sometimes it can be too much depending on the variety of grape you have. Most grapes don't produce well in acidic soil, so you have to be careful on what type of grape you have in your garden. As a beginner gardener or even a master gardener, um, there are so many different varieties of grapes. So when you harvest your grapes, it all depends on that variety. Most grapes start to flower in the month of April. From April until it's time for you to harvest, you want to make sure the location is key. Again, I'm gonna keep saying this: location is key. You want to make sure that the sun is directly, as you can see there, is actually hitting those clusters so that the sugar and acidity can actually develop and produce for you. So when you harvest your grapes, they'll be ready for you by the fall. Now it is said in France and Italy that most even like wine grapes, for instance, are actually ready to be harvested in the fall months. Not all grapes are the same. Again, I'm gonna say this again. Not all grapes are the same and won't be ready for harvest at the same time of period. Your location, your demographic location is key. Weather and demographic location is key when growing grapes. I hope this helped you guys. I want to tell you again: compost, compost, compost. Use your vegetables peelings. Use your fruit peelings and pulp. Parade it. Cut it up and just place it near your grapes in that berm. Another thing too, when you growing your grape, make sure you have it like a little mound of it, like a hill. That way, when you water, the water is going down. Okay, not really going like in a flooded type of situation. Their roots do not like a lot of water. Again, those feeder roots do not like a lot of water, and so you have to really baby it in the beginning of its life. Again, you got to baby it in the beginning of its life. I hope this helped you guys today. Until next time, remember to, okay, guys, until next time, make sure you hit the sub, that bell, and like button to get your notifications. And also comment below on the variety of grapes you're growing and what you have learned from your mistakes and from others that help you to get a great harvest. Shalom to you all. Farewell.